I feel like that climax pays off just because it's just interesting and entertaining. Not so much that it paid off so much good storytelling, anything like that.
I mean, my Star Wars fan hot take is that the movies are the worst part about Star Wars.
Damn! Welcome to the Fourth Act, our entertainment podcast where every Friday we discuss a topic in TV, movies, or something else in the entertainment world. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars, our first Star Wars topic. So I brought my friend Saul.
Hello.
That was your chance to say hello there.
Oh, damn it.
From the top. So I brought the biggest Star Wars fan I know, and we're going to talk about just Star Wars discussion. We're going to talk about how big of Star Wars fans we are, like kind of like, at least for me, like where I've fallen off, movies, TV, everything. We're going to talk about the upcoming projects. But before we get into it, definitely subscribe if you like this video. We have other Star Wars content as of this week. We got the Ahsoka review out if you want to go check that out. We have other stuff as well. Go ahead and check it out. If you like multiple videos, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit like, hit share, do all those things. Saul, my friend, are you ready?
I am ready.
We're gonna get into it, but again, first, what is your relationship with Star Wars? I guess the general thesis is kind of gonna be like being a Star Wars fan in 2023. Like, what does it even mean anymore? So just where are you at with Star Wars?
I mean, Star Wars is probably the first IP I fell in love with. My earliest memory is actually kind of crazy. It was my uncle, who had tons of like movies and VHSs, gave me the original trilogy and VHS, and I was like, dude, Star Wars is awesome.
Is that how it started?
Yeah, that's how it started. I was pretty young.
I thought you were a prequel guy first.
No, I think I watched those movies, but obviously the prequels, as they came out in the theaters, I watched them. But that's my like background.
That's your origin.
That's my origin.
And where are you at with it now?
I'm still a big Star Wars fan. I want to go to Disneyland for Star Wars Land.
Just beeline straight over there.
If it was just me, it was just up to me, I'd just spend all day there. No, I love Star Wars. I think it's awesome. The games, the media, like it's such a big IP now. Like so many people know Star Wars. So many. Like,
I mean, it's been
that's true.
But now that Disney has it, it's just like everywhere.
Yeah. I feel like my relationship now is like, I'm excited to Star Wars fan because before we just had to wait for movies. And then ever since the show started, that was awesome because we had these episodic, multiple season run things. And I thought those were better than the movies. And now we have these live action shows. So I think it's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. We're getting more games. We're getting more shows.
And they stopped with the games for a while too. Yeah. At least with like quality games.
It's because they had like that dumb deal with EA where only EA could make games.
Yeah.
So dumb.
But before that, what were they doing?
Yeah, it was just random games.
Yeah, it was like licensed games, stuff like that. And then they had the EA deal and now kind of spreading their wings a little bit more. Now for me, I actually started off with the prequels. And it's funny because like I shit on the prequels so much now. Not so much to where like I'm just like a generic like prequel hater. I'm just a movie guy first. Like, more than Star Wars, I'm just a movie guy first. So I grew up with the prequels, and those are awesome at the time. Like I went to the theaters to watch 2 and 3, not 1. I think I was a little too young for that. But I saw 2 and 3 in the theaters, and I even like read like the book version of episode 3. Yeah, like even though I knew what happened, it was probably like
you like unlocked the memory for me. Did you have to read a certain amount of books in school?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know if that was part of that.
I remember just choosing all the Star Wars books.
Really?
So like I watched the movies. I know what happened.
Just skip the novelization of it or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, like as I got older, like this is before like the Disney ones came out. As I got older, like I grew an appreciation for the original movies because those, like growing up, especially if you watch the prequels, like Darth Vader, everything that happens without actually watching those movies. But as I was getting older and getting into more of just like, I don't want to say like film analysis or anything like that, but just appreciating what makes a film, like why I like this movie so much. Like, what is the first, second, third act? Like just very basic, bare minimum. I really got into the original trilogy. And then as I started reflecting and like rewatching like the prequels, I was like, this shit is trash.
It's like all over the place.
Yeah, like I'm nostalgic for at least
Yeah.
like for Revenge of the Sith. Like Revenge of the Sith, I like even till now, I think the last third is really fun and interesting and entertaining. And I don't even know if I would say it's good because the whole buildup is like so that the climax like pays off. I feel like that climax pays off just because it's just interesting and entertaining, not so much that it paid off so much good storytelling, anything like that.
I mean, my Star Wars fan hot take is that the movies are the worst part about Star Wars.
Damn. Okay. And you see, like I'm only like a movies fan / like TV now that they're doing Disney Plus stuff. I loved Mando. Did not care for season 3, as I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
I got all the way up to the last episode, just didn't finish it. I still have not finished. I just want to have one episode left.
Yeah.
But I just didn't finish it. I saw Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the point, is that just like overall, like I saw the quality just dipping. And I was just like, I'm getting out. Because I like Star Wars, but I'm not like this super mega fan that I need to know everything.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of this is like the Filoni verse, which I didn't watch the shows, the animated shows. I didn't watch Clone Wars or Rebels. So I'm not invested. And then since like they're throwing so much out there, I'm just like, it almost feels like he's making content that's not for me in a way. But we just reviewed Ahsoka, and we won't talk too much about that here because we just went for an hour.
Yep.
Go check that shit out. But I'm really liking where Ahsoka's at, and he's introducing these characters to me for the first time. So I'm ready for Ahsoka to be really good, and I'm ready to jump back in and see these 3 new movies that are going to come out, and I'm ready for it. Also, I love the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order. That's been carrying my Star Wars fandom for the past like 3 years. Do you have any comments on any of that? Or
I mean, the games have been really, those 2 games have been really good.
Yep.
Like they can be their own. They can be more.
That's the thing. Like you could be like, oh, they could be movies, but it's like, why? If they make
That's
perfect
true.
games, and then like us being gamers, like
Yeah, I feel generally speaking, like to kind of go back on that comment, like I think the movies are the worst part. I know that I've shared with you. The thing with the movies is you only have so much time, and even with trilogies, even when they're planned, like if we go back to the original, they didn't know what they had on their hands. They kind of made things up as they went along, and then the prequels were the only ones that, you know, George Lucas really had this mastermind.
They were overplanned.
Yeah, they were overplanned.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when you, like, if George Lucas were talking to, like, if he was right here hanging out, those prequels didn't exist, and he was telling us all this stuff, we'd be all like, what?
Yeah, that's
like,
awesome.
It would sound cool, but just execution.
Yeah.
I think did he direct all of them, or did he direct, like, do you know anything about that?
I know I'm not sure if he directed all of them.
But or maybe he didn't direct any of them, but like he wrote them.
Yeah, I know he worked closely with them.
Yeah.
Like,
The point is, like, those are his baby.
Yeah.
And I think he was just too hands-on. We already know, like, nobody was telling him no. Everybody was yes man around him. And it just hurt the product, and we got what we got.
Yeah. I guess I'm weird because I know people are critical of like the politics going on in it, and I'm weird because I'm like, but I liked that.
Yeah.
I liked this whole build up.
We're mentioning that in our little Ahsoka review. They're like, it's always been about politics.
Yeah.
It's always been there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is basically we have the movies and the shows have been great, the live action shows, but I feel
all of them.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to allude to is the way you said you fell off on Mando. I feel like at my core, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm going to watch anything Star Wars. I'm this invested. I pretty much know any video form or game form of Star Wars. I've consumed it. The only form that I've only touched a little bit is like the novels. Yeah. And it's funnily enough, one of the only novels that I like read was like the Ahsoka one. And it's basically how, like, what she does after all the shit goes down.
And that one's like canon.
It is canon. Okay. Yeah. And it's a cool little story about her. Get to kind of see from her perspective a little more. But what I'm trying to allude to is the shows I like because we spend more time with these characters, but I feel like Dave Filoni is playing in this time frame that we can't do anything crazy like that negates events in the movies. With that said, I think we both agree that we were tired of the Star Wars movies with the stakes so high. How many Death Stars do we have to blow up, right?
And that's the thing is, like, once you go Death Star, you know, you got to go bigger Death Star, right? Or at least you can call it something else, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be a bigger explosion.
So I like that the live action shows the stakes have been lower. But what I want to really say is that the animated shows feel like they carry the heart. And what I mean by that is the characters and the events that unfold episode to episode, and the plots, how they progress, seem more substantial. Because I guess me, as like just a grand, like all Star Wars lore loving kind of person, I'm always looking at opportunities for something new in Star Wars. Like, tell me something that changes everything.
Right.
But it's so hard because they are always working in pockets between movies.
Yeah, it feels like the movies are going to be for like pushing the story forward. At least like this was in their mind. Pushing the story forward, like the canon. It's all canon, but you know what I mean? Like the mainline Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Let's push that forward, and then we'll let everything else play in between, like you're saying. And we'll get into the upcoming projects and how like they're gonna mess around with that. But it's just like overall, it's like so many people like Star Wars just in general.
Yeah.
The idea of Star Wars, which is like just go away. Just go somewhere else in another timeline, past, future. I don't care about lore, nothing. Just let's play with these rules.
Yeah.
Create some new fun characters, and let's make a fun, unique story that you're saying, like, it will have some stakes because we don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this new Disney era? Like, what overall is it successful? And on top of that, what projects do you think are must see? Like, where you're just like, hey, if you want to get into this, like, watch this. Not even like as a starting off point, because a lot of it's not starting off, but just overall, it's just like, hey, this is quality.
Well,
like,
that's why I think The Mandalorian's really good. That's like, in a way, that's the Iron Man of this, because it's kicking it off, and it's what I think again woke up a lot of people to this. People who maybe didn't even watch the movies just because they see these kind of like lovable characters, and then it's got the weight of Disney behind it too. And that is kind of his introduction, at least in the live action, to lead to these other characters. So I think Mandalorian is an important show to watch. I don't know if it holds its interest, like you said. And I think one of my hot takes was that like Grogu kind of messes it up a little bit because you're limited. What can you do? Like, he's cute, and I get that
he makes too much money. That's the problem.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to see Mando gloves off. And
it seemed like that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then something happened. Executives got their hands in it, whatever it may be.
This thing's selling too much.
Yeah. Or like, oh, you guys are making Boba Fett? Yeah. Squeeze in how we get Grogu back, and let's figure out how to get him back for season 3. Yeah. And just for people who didn't watch Boba Fett, if you're just jumping into Mando season 3, you're like, what happened to the ending of season 2? And I think that happened with Augie, my brother, who didn't watch Boba Fett, and he was just like what? Like, Grogu's back? You know, like, that was such a poor decision.
Yeah, they're just trying.
And I saw Boba Fett. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those 2 episodes that had Mando were the best episodes of Boba Fett.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna take the like corporate view on this, is it does feel like a little bit of we need something on Disney. Like, we need to keep subscriptions. Because the other thing, like the Obi-Wan show, what did we get out of that besides learning some sprinkles about how Leia knew him?
Yeah. And but that's them being like halfway in, halfway out with creativity. Because it's just like, okay, we can get Ewan McGregor back, and we can have Obi-Wan back in this unique era where everybody wanted to see him, and have a cool story. And it just seems like creatively, it just wasn't cooked long enough. Because it had some good ideas. Like, I wasn't bored, but by the time it was over, I was just like,
it's just you can't.
My bad, that was my phone.
You can't go in with any kind of expectation. Like, if there was going to be this inevitable Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader fight, well, you knew that they were both going to walk away. Yeah. So what did you give me from them walking away? Nothing really.
But that is a cool moment, and that's the thing, is they don't care about creativity. Like they just want the moments like that. They just give you enough. They're dangling that carrot in front of you. I got a little taste of the carrot with that, because that is such a cool moment that I go to on YouTube when you hear Anakin come out. Spoilers for Obi-Wan. If you're listening to this conversation, I think you might have seen it. Yeah. Or at least go just watch on YouTube. But hearing Anakin come out for a second and apologize in a way to Obi-Wan and saying like, hey, like, I'm not like your failure, or I forgot like how he worded it. I think that's what he said though. I'm not your failure.
I am not your failure, Obi-Wan.
You can kind of see like with the light, like you see Obi-Wan's blue lightsaber over his face, and then it goes red again, and you could see like the Darth Vader in him come back out and be like, I'm my own failure. I did this shit. Like, you're like it, where it's kind of like the statement started off as a, like, hey, like, I'm sorry, Obi-Wan, but it ended off with like, psych. Like, I just thought that moment was really powerful. And you can hear that because Anakin's voice comes out and then it's kind of like modulated. It's so cool.
And I'm going to say Rebels did it first.
Yeah. I seen that clip too.
Because when Ahsoka fights him and kind of makes that revelation, that,
but they don't do like the voicing like that. Like,
well, she like cuts part of his helmet,
and then he like shows his face.
You see him, and I don't exactly remember if you kind of. I know that the thing seems distorted, but I don't know if you hear Anakin's voice. Yeah. But still, even then, I think he says something along the lines like, "Did you know what I became?" And I'm like, "Sheesh."
You abandoned me. You failed me. Do you know what I've become?
I guess my problem is that a lot of what I'm seeing in the live action, as much as I appreciate it because I'm a Star Wars fan and I want more content, it's like, dude, I'm telling you, the Anakin in Clone Wars is such an awesome character. Because you see this person trying to be righteous. You see this person like the Clone Wars era is probably the best era. Because it's just
that's what the movies should have been about. But we're not gonna get into that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just it's hard because that's why I'm saying, like, if you were to watch all the movies and then after episode 2 you decided to watch the 6 seasons of Clone Wars, you would be like, dude, this is such a crazy point in time, and Anakin is so crazy. Because I just like that he's just like, dude, I wasn't trained to be a Jedi. I just became one in the middle of this war. And all I know is how to be a general and how to win wars. I'm not questioning.
That's way more interesting.
Yeah. I
don't know any of this.
Yeah. I'm not trying to like debate the morality of these decisions. I just know win. And that's Anakin's obsession. And the episodes where he strays a little too far and Obi-Wan's kind of like he wants to say something, but he pulls himself out of a situation and he's like, you know what? In the end, we pulled out ahead and we're doing this for the right reasons, right? And so
he's a bad parent.
Yeah, a little bit, but at the same time, it's you know, their relationship is awesome throughout the series. And then just all the other supporting characters and the other Jedi and Padawans. But I guess that's what that's what makes this feel half baked for me sometimes, because I'm like, to watch all that and then you watch episode 3 and it's like a 180. It's like, damn.
That's the thing, is like, for me being the movie guy and then watching, because the movies came out first, and then like you're telling me all this stuff like Clone Wars makes General Grievous better, makes Count Dooku better. I'm just like,
so much better.
I don't like, it shouldn't have had to.
Yeah.
And I know like we're way beyond this conversation. Like even this conversation we're having right now is really dated.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine how younger or people, I don't know, even if you're like 5 years younger than us, and you straight up just saw it like in order like that. We're just like, oh, like after 2, I'm gonna watch all this, and then I wonder like how much Star Wars like the prequels are good to them because of this.
Yeah,
I mean, you've seen them backwards, like, or you've seen it the way that they were released.
Seen them both ways. I've seen them all ways.
Do you recommend that though? Like, you recommend everybody go through that?
I think you should actually.
There's 2 different mediums. Like, you're watching live action movies and like, hey, watch this animated show that has some kid episodes and then has some cool episodes.
It's hard, man, because I think I've watched in continuation and not with the shows, but with the movies. I've seen them in the way they come out, and I've seen them in the way that they're in timeline. And it's kind of hard to watch them in the way they are in timeline, only because it's hard not to tell the difference in the time that they were shot.
Right.
Like, not just in the acting, but in the effects and just the pacing too. So I don't know. I feel like it would be hard to watch the series like that, but I think it would be interesting. I don't know. I think you just come out feeling like the show is so much better.
See, I've never pulled the trigger, and I know I'm going to eventually. It's a bucket list thing. Like, if I died, if I was in the gates of wherever I go, up there or down there, I'd be like, God damn. All right. Well, because I'm saying God damn, I'm probably going down there. But I'd be like, damn, like I didn't watch those animated shows where like I really do want to see them.
It's so cool because I just remember like watching them even when they came out like on Cartoon Network, because every episode started with a quote, and it was kind of sweet because the quote had to do with the whole point of the episode, and so many episodes are really interesting. And that's the aspect where I'm like, this feels like a kid's show because they're trying to teach you a lesson, but it's also like, it's not though. Like you actually like this has to do with the lore, and it,
like Darth Maul has some spider legs. And that's what we're talking about on our Ahsoka review, where it's just like these shows start off like kid shows.
Yeah.
Because I remember when that movie came out, and it's just a couple of the episodes, right? Put together.
It's like a one arc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was very kiddish. I've seen that movie. Very kid friendly. And then maybe that's what turned me off to the show. But then I also have seen clips, and I know that it does get more mature, and it is a good Star Wars story as well.
It's a trip to watch that first movie and then watch season 6. Because not just like the themes, but the graphics are insane. You're like, oh yeah, Disney bankrolled this. Yeah. They gave them some Pixar dust.
So some Pixar dust. Yeah. So that to go back to my original question, do you think that this Disney buyout, the Disney era, has been a success? Not in terms of money. We know they made all the money.
It's hard to say. I mean, I think yes. I think it's more exposure. People are watching it, but I guess like me as a fan, I almost wonder if Dave Filoni's talents are better still in animated medium, because the way you're saying like or have said like some of the fights in the live action fall short. I agree.
But I think that's a budget thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Animation, I guess it's cheaper. I mean, you can do whatever.
It depends. But I think his ultimate goal was to eventually get a movie. And maybe the best thing that's come out of this Disney thing, because again, I'm not an animation fan, but I've realized that Dave Filoni is a huge fan. He creates with his heart. He is a fanboy.
Yeah. And
on top of that, like he is making these good stories. He has been like the best part creatively of this Star Wars Disney era. Like I appreciate him for that. And for them to reward him with a movie, and he's gonna, I'm assuming, is gonna have a good budget to do whatever the hell he wants. Like I'm excited to see what he does. Yeah, and we'll talk about him in the upcoming movies. But overall, you think it's a success?
Yeah.
I'm like 50-50 on it. But if I had to give an answer, I guess it's a success.
I guess I have to put the question to myself as a Star Wars fan: do I want to just keep consuming more Star Wars, or do I want to consume good Star Wars?
Yeah.
So I guess if this project of his, if all these shows he's put together leads to a badass movie, then I'm all for that, because we have so many spans of time where we get no movies, and then boom, here's a movie, and then that's it. To be able to have a shows that take us there. Right. In between those time gaps that tell like a really compelling plot point, then I think my like Star Wars like want for like a compelling story could be satisfied with that.
The funny thing is like you are absolutely right, where the movies are like the worst part of it, and I'm like the movie guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen more of those movies than I have like any of these shows. I mean, I've seen the newer shows, but I'm trying to like to figure out how to word this. Because for sure, I've seen the movies more, and I like some of them. But there's more bad movies, or at least equally bad movies as there is good movies. And that's like their moneymaker.
Yeah.
Like that's what kicks off a new era, and then we get going. Like you're saying, we take a break, and then all of a sudden she's like, all right, let's go. Movie. With that being said, it started off so good with The Force Awakens and Rogue One, like back to back. And then what happened?
That's what I'm saying. I don't get how you fumble the ball with such a large IP. And then, like we kind of said, Star Wars has been around for so long.
The 70s.
Dude, so like, I guess, you know, as like Disney buys his IP, and are they betting that, the movies is going to be what gives them their money back, or are they betting that subscriptions, or like at this point I'm not sure where they're at with that.
When do they buy it? In 2012 or 13, something like that? Because the first movie comes out 2015. So I'm assuming they buy it in 2012, 13, somewhere around there.
Sounds about right.
I don't think Disney Plus is on their mind at the time, because the only thing out at that point is Netflix.
Yeah.
Like the streaming wars doesn't happen until later. I'm sure these big CEOs, maybe they've thought way into the future about it, but there's no way. They definitely purchased it thinking money.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying in the 70s, it was like, oh, wow, we did something. Let's keep releasing this same movie over and over again and keep making tons of money. Oh, now let's make toys. You know, Star Wars, you know.
Toys is what did
let's associate Star Wars with Christmas. Every year, like Star Wars, baby. Now
George Lucas, man.
That's what I'm saying. So I guess, you know, you're Disney. Yeah, it makes sense. Star Wars is a massive IP. It has so many people's hearts, like from so many different generations. Like, it's a no-brainer. If you can buy it, buy it.
But it's so weird how, like, they buy the MCU, and the MCU goes on to be bigger than Star Wars for this generation. Thanos, to, like, my nephew, is way more popular than Darth Vader, which is crazy to say.
That is interesting, huh?
But maybe it depends. You know, like, maybe it's just, you know.
Well, I guess that ties back, because with the MCU, I mean, it has its comic books. They have all these different, like, possibilities and universes. And with Star Wars, I think what I'm appreciating about this era is, like we said, let's close the book on the Skywalker stuff.
Yeah.
We're tired of Death Stars. We're tired of Skywalkers. Let's talk about all these other interesting characters.
For so long, we've been talking about, like, at least me and you, my brother, I've been talking to my friend Andy about it. Like, let's just go to the era where there's just war.
Yeah.
And there's politics, but good politics, right? Like, some maybe not so much Game of Thrones. I was about to say Game of Thrones shit, but maybe not even that much. But, like, let's get into this era where we have these badass battles. Like, if it's going to be a movie, let's use that budget. Let's have these badass choreographed, using the Force, like, you hit different Force powers.
The
like
Old Republic.
The Old Republic, yeah. And I've never played the game. I never read anything. I just know what you've told me, and I've seen, like, the videos that they release for like the game, and it looks nothing like the game, but they have the coolest cutscenes, or at least the coolest, like, promo videos.
It's like that budget. We want that.
Give us that, but live action, and that's it. You'll make so much money.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but, like, make a story that earns that battle. I don't want 2 hours of just battle, right? Like, give us something else. We want to get away from this Skywalker thing, but again, Disney bought it for money. What says money? Skywalker's, like, all the things that they know it for.
Yeah.
So they didn't buy it for creativity, which is probably why we should give Dave Filoni all the credit. That this man is just creative and gets to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau made Iron Man. And then he starts off a universe with Mandalorian.
There you go. He loves armor.
He loves
and he flies.
But yeah, overall, I think it really is 50-50, because there's been some good stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but, like, oh my God, if we're just talking about the movies, I think it's been a huge failure, because if you would have had this conversation with me after The Last Jedi, I liked The Last Jedi, at least 2/3 of it. I don't like a third of it, which is, like, the whole, like, casino, because it felt like an episode of, like, a Clone Wars, which is like they're trying to teach me a lesson that, like, hey, there's bad guys on both sides. Like, I don't want to do this right now. Like, that's cool. Do that somewhere else. Yeah. But anyway, we're not going to get into The Last Jedi. But point is, I do like it. So it's not like I fell off after that.
Yeah.
But then their follow-up with Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And it was just like, let's undo with what that movie undid. And it's just like, why are you guys fighting each other? I don't care about your politics behind the scenes.
It is annoying, because if you're going to do a trilogy, be concise. Or at least do one director the whole way through or something. I mean, that I think was frustrating. And I feel like, again, like, I've never been a hater of any one project, but lately I find myself questioning, like, why does the 7, 8, 9 exist? Like, what are we ever gonna do with those?
Right.
You know, because right now we keep talking about after 6, but we don't, like, want to get close to 9 to 7.
Well, the Filoni verse is supposed to get there, and again, I keep teasing it. We'll get there when we talk about the upcoming projects, because I think there's your answer. Ultimately, the real reason is they just wanted money.
Yeah.
And I brought up the MCU because they bought the MCU once they were already established and they had a team, and they're kind of like, all right, you guys do your thing.
That's true.
They bought Star Wars and tried to put, like, a team together, but, like, there was no direct idea or path or creativity. Like, it was kind of just like, okay, we have this IP, now what? And they started doing it, like, piece by piece, like kind of how the Star Wars originally started. Like, they try to get a new director every time. But it's like, but you guys don't have a George Lucas who has an overall idea.
And the thing, too, is, like, they had so much to work with as far as, like, all those books that were written. Because literally
they could have done the Marvel thing.
Every book, I think they kind of did.
Yeah, like with bringing Thrawn back.
Yeah,
and stuff.
but, like, every book that came out in those 30 years of nothing, all had to do after, episode 6. So they had so much to work with there to be able to pick apart what we like that, we don't want
but
that.
they wanted the original cast back.
Yeah.
So you have to make all that canon.
I guess this enters like a new discussion. I'm taking over your podcast.
Sure. No, if you got questions for me, go for it. Welcome to the fourth leg.
With this is where we talk about capitalism and
Oh, shit.
yeah, this is a new podcast.
Damn.
The problem is that Star Wars has always been so interweb with commercial success that you're right. I mean, let's not play around with it. Like, Disney bought Star Wars for money and they keep making decisions based off of that. Like, if we're going to talk about how Grogu should have been no longer in the show, but was kept around because it caught eyeballs, it has a bunch of GIFs and memes and it gets people talking. Like, I guess more than anything, that's the story of Star Wars is how much can we make this commercial? How much can we make this a success, a profit maker? So, I mean, I guess like you can say that about anything. What's the motive of making anything?
I mean, but again, like if you have a team, because ultimately writers are, which they're on a writer strike right now. Writers are like the soul of creativity. They are literally creative.
Yeah.
And they have every intention of making something good and fun and whatever. It's everybody above them that has to, steer them in the wrong direction or, mess with their idea.
They're like, yeah. But can we keep Grogu?
Yeah. But like, at least like with the MCU, again, like they had somebody like original Star Wars had George Lucas. They had MCU has Kevin Feige. They have a team.
Yeah.
There was just never any like, all right, this is like the think tank.
Skywalker Ranch. Where were you?
I mean, well,
where's the timeline on the wall in the room?
Oh, they did. It is there, right? Jeez, I can't imagine that timeline. But yeah, overall, I would say that I'm glad it was bought and we got more Star Wars, and we have had some good from it.
Yeah,
it hasn't been all bad. I just hope that with their new movies going forward, that they close out what they want to do with the Skywalker saga, because we are getting another movie with Rey. We're going to get a movie. Again, we're not even in that section yet, but just really quick, we're going to get a movie about the very first Jedi, and then we're going to get a movie. Yeah. And then we're going to get another movie. I'm forgetting what it is, but point is, like, we're finally jumping around to different eras, and I feel like this, because it's 3 different eras, these 3 movies. Oh, and the Filoni one. I feel like this is them testing, okay, which one makes more money? Which era are we going to stay in for a little bit?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I hope the Old Republic, it's not even Old Republic, it's legit the first Jedi.
Yeah.
But I hope we can get to a point where we get to a new era and stay there for a little bit and explore it. And there's so many projects announced and canceled. It's so messy. So messy.
Yeah. It looks like they're just shotgun.
Yeah.
Let's see
throwing
which one
stuff
hits.
at the wall. Yeah. But overall, you think it's been a success?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I feel, again, there's just a lot of people that I know have never touched Star Wars. Like, I think, like, my sis or my girlfriend's sister, like, knows Star Wars anything, and suddenly, like, Grogu and all that.
Yeah,
so
yeah, Grogu is big.
Yeah, big time.
I don't, again, like, if we're thinking about, like a commercial standpoint or a CEO standpoint, I get it.
Yeah.
that Grogu took over the world that first season. And the second season was like all about him even more.
Yeah. And then we also have to remember, like, Star Wars is supposed to be like this family friendly, like, and every family gets together, we watch it and I know I'm nodding with you because, dude, I'm just saying, if you want to do Old Republic, High Republic, whatever the hell you want to do, if you want to go back in the past, you can explore some dark themes in Star Wars that would be badass.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I think of Andor, because Andor,
I still haven't seen it.
Andor has some dark themes and I like it. I'm like, yes, give me cyberpunk
I
Star
need
Wars.
to see Andor like sooner rather than later, because I've heard some people recently saying this, because I've been following like the Ahsoka talk and all that. I heard some people saying that Andor is the best Star Wars property. Just like,
I think people who say that want a more mature Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think we deserve it.
I don't think mature means better. Like, you can have a lighthearted Star Wars, but
that's true.
But with the world of Star Wars, I think it's supposed to be dark.
It's just we keep telling stories about certain people in the Star Wars society, and it's like, in a lot of Star Wars, people are struggling.
Take a shot every time we say Star Wars, by the way. Star Wars.
For reals. Damn.
All right, so moving on. We kind of already alluded to it, but Skywalker Saga, let's just...
Let it die.
Let it die. Let's do this Rey one, because she's a Skywalker now. So let's do that movie. let's end this saga on a nice, neat little bow, and let's have it be a good movie, and let's move on. I think that's part of it. It's like they're just like, damn, we can't leave that saga like that.
Yeah.
Whoever it may be. What's her name? Who's in charge?
I don't even know.
What's her name?
I'm gonna look her up.
Chat, put it in the comments.
Yeah, you do the work.
Yeah, we don't got time for this shit. We got some comments. Okay, so I mean, my next thing is about our hype level for all the upcoming projects. So I'll run through them very quickly, and I'm going to go in order. Now, there's like 8. So I think this is going to cover like the next 30 minutes.
I know they do like Star Wars Day, and they show titles, and it's been a minute since. So you're going to be telling me, and you're probably going to my live reaction to these projects.
Okay, cool. Because they did announce a bunch. Like there's been like the Game of Thrones guys were supposed to make one.
I thought they dropped those.
They
fools.
did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a whole nother thing. Don't get me started on Game of Thrones.
Stay tuned for the Game of Thrones.
If you guys want more Game of Thrones content,
we'll have to do something for House of Dragons.
Dude, House of Dragons is good. let me get. Okay, we won't start. Anyway, the Skeleton Crew is up next. Do you even know what this is?
Nope.
It's coming out this year, apparently. I don't think it is. But it says late 2023. It is a live-action Disney Plus series directed by John Watts, the director of the Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home. Okay. So, yeah, and I like those movies, so I'm interested. Now, it does take place in the Mandalorian era. Okay. So we're still there.
Everything.
So it's produced by Filoni. I'm sure it is. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm sure it is. And it's about 4 lost kids finding their way back home. This sounds separated from everything, and this is what makes me interested. It's like it's supposed to be like a throwback to 80s movies, like with kids and stuff, like E.T. stuff like that, like the Goonies.
It's interesting you say that because my mind immediately goes to Andor because there's a whole arc of a similar situation.
I gotta watch Andor. But hype level for that, not like a ranking, but just excited. Yes, no.
It sounds interesting.
Middle of the road.
What I want is like low stakes. Because if there's no stakes, there's no expectations. So something as simple. You don't think so?
You want no stakes?
I'm just saying, I want to hear a story about some kids trying to get home in Star Wars. You know?
Yeah. So no like grand like this connect. Let's tell some Star Wars stories.
You tell any story you want to tell in Star Wars.
Yeah. It's kind of like comic books in that way, or even like what the MCU was trying to do now, where a lot of people don't like that because it's not just one interconnected story. It's kind of like, oh, here's a Moon Knight thing, here's a She-Hulk thing with a different tone, and people don't like that. Yeah. Like they just want the MCU linear story. So I think they're going to pivot and go back. That's another conversation. But for Star Wars, I'm kind of hoping like what you're saying. Let's just get different Star Wars stories and just let me know which ones are good. Yeah. And I heard Andor's good. I had no plans to watch it, but I heard it's really good. I'll go watch that. Up next, Andor Season 2.
Let's go.
Now, there's no details on this, which is good because I was writing these and I haven't seen Season 1. I don't want any spoilers. But if you don't know, it's a live-action Disney Plus series. It takes place between Rogue One, Episode 3 and Rogue One. And 4. But specifically Rogue One because this one is supposed to be the last season and it's directly tying to Rogue One.
So, I wonder if that's going to make Rogue One so much better. I mean, it was already really good.
Yeah, and Rogue One was the movie that made another movie so much better.
Yeah.
Like watching that.
What do they call those? The anthologies?
I mean, I don't think that's the word for it.
They were like just these loose, like, here's Han Solo. Here's how they got the Death Star plans.
Yeah, and that fell apart real quick. I thought Solo was...
They only did those 2, huh?
Yeah. Because they were going to release a movie every year.
Yeah.
And then nobody saw Solo, and then they canned it. They gave up so quick. Like, what?
It's hard because... whatever.
Solo, I thought was all right. Yeah. But you see, I didn't think it was like, all right. I thought it was all right. Mine was a positive all right.
Is it just me, or did everyone watch that and just be like, we want Lando?
I mean,
Gambino, baby. Let's go.
And he was supposed to get a series.
Oh, is he not?
Well, we haven't heard anything.
Oh, okay.
Since what I'm showing you here is the last update. So
dude,
when is Star Wars?
Donald Glover is getting the shit in the stick. Where's his Prowler? Where's his Lando?
Well, he popped up in Across the Spider-Verse. Spoilers. I want to see him in the MCU, but again, that's another conversation. So yeah, Andor Season 2. I'm guessing you really like the first season, and you're really excited for Season 2. I have not seen season 1, but I'm sure I'll like it based off what everybody's saying. And I'm sure I'll be excited. I think that's when I'll watch this. And it's coming out August 2024, so still a year away. Okay, and up next is The Acolyte. Do you know what this is?
Is that the one with the first Jedi?
Nope. Oh, we're like 5 projects away from that, buddy.
Sheesh.
We'll get there.
Oh.
Right now I'm doing all the shows.
The Acolyte makes it sound like it's before anything we know.
So it, again, is a live-action Disney Plus series. It only has a release date of 2024, so who knows when that'll be. I mean, we know Andor is announced and it's coming out in August. Like, that has a date, so maybe The Acolyte doesn't even touch 2024 with the writer's strike. But it is a live-action Disney Plus series headed by Leslie Headland. I don't know who this is, but she is the director of Russian Doll. Don't know what that is, but when I looked it up, maybe somebody does. Maybe that'll get somebody excited. It is a drama set in the High Republic era, which is 100 years before The Phantom Menace, which is Star Wars Episode 1. It is about a former Padawan that reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes. That sounds cool.
I love that. Because, again, we have like no context of what Jedi were. And the reality
especially me, because you know some Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
If I've only seen the movies, I've never seen this era.
That's why High Republic is an interesting timeline, because Yoda might still be alive because he lived so damn long. And not that that's important, but before all the events of all the movies we've seen, Jedi were kind of just like sheriffs. They just went around. They said, "What's your problem?" And they're like, "All right, we'll go."
Racist.
Yeah, we'll go fix your problem. And there's planets who like Jedi, there's planets who don't. But for the most part, there are no Republic armies. There's no galactic wars per se.
Right.
It's just Jedis are like space cops, or space samurai. I don't know. But
That's what I was going to make a comparison to the samurais, but
they're sheriffs, they're investigators, they're samurai, they're all these things.
that's why some of them turn bad. They're like, you guys don't appreciate us.
You said it's called Jedi Acolyte?
No, it's just called The Acolyte.
Acolyte?
Yeah.
There's a book. Yes. Okay. So when I said there's only a few books that I've listened to, because I listen to books, I don't read them.
Everybody does. I think that's how I need to get into books, because when I read, just a sidebar, when I read, I just don't have the attention span. Like, I got to reread the page like 3-4 times. I think I need to audiobook this shit.
Yeah, there's a whole. I did listen to this audiobook. So The Acolyte, I think it's a series of books, and they're kind of traversing kind of like some stories about, again, events like that. Like, what I remember about one of these books that I listened to was about these asteroids coming to crash down on the planet, and all these things that Jedi do to try to like save as many people as they can. And it's just little stories like that, because for the most part, a lot of these planets that are being colonized, they're like the frontier, and they're like outside of Republic space, and they don't really have a lot of support, and Jedi come and help. And, it's like the Brave New World, they're just barely. So I think that's going to be a really interesting story.
It sounds really cool.
Sidebar, what I'm excited about too is going to be the first game in this era, Star Wars Eclipse. And
I do remember this being announced.
Have you seen the trailer? Because it's awesome.
It was just a teaser trailer, right?
Yeah, because again, this is supposed to be before the events of Episode 1, and I think that era is really interesting. And the other thing that piece of content that people can watch is Star Wars put out an animated series, and it's probably one of the most recent animated series since the Disney acquisition, where they're showing stories of like a young Count Dooku and a young like we see Ahsoka as a baby, like how we even find out she's Force sensitive.
What is this?
Tales of the Jedi. So
I do remember this.
It's so good.
I didn't see it.
We get like a mini arc for Ahsoka. I think it's like 2 or 3 episodes when she's a youngin. And the ones that I found the most compelling was the episodes about Count Dooku, because you see his ideology form and how he's kind of different from Qui-Gon, but how they kind of share a mind, because they're both like
all this stuff sounds so much cooler than what we got in the prequel.
Yeah, because they're both like, yeah, we don't really agree with everything the Order's doing.
Yeah.
Count Dooku does what he does with that, and Qui-Gon does what he does with that. So, but it's really good.
Okay, up next is The Bad Batch Season 3. Another animated show. Again, for those who don't know, it's going to be the final season about the rise of the early Empire.
Mm-hmm.
What does this do for you? Are you kind of just watching The Bad Batch right now, or are you excited? It's
good. Season 1 was really good because dude, they keep giving us Execute Order 66. I guarantee you there's a video that mashes every animated movie and live action series that has shown us clips of Execute Order 66. And
I've seen something like that.
I, for one, am not tired of seeing that, and in the games. But I think every time they show us that, we go like, damn, that shit was fucked up.
I don't mind seeing Order 66. I'm tired of hearing the Sith's backstory is, oh, I survived Order 66. It's like, who cares? So did all the rest of them.
You're like, if you're around at this point in time, you survived.
Yeah, I get it. You survived.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to expect for season 3, but the series has been interesting.
Like, does it have like a really good plot line that you're just like, I can't wait for season 3?
Again, I keep liking when I'm introduced to something that makes new rules in Star Wars per se. And one thing, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but like, there's a female character. She's like the girl with like 5 dads because they're all like taking care of her.
I'm not even gonna ask.
But the point is, she's a clone too, and that's the trip. There's never been a female clone, and I feel like this is kind of about her, and I don't know if that's going to turn into something bigger. But the Bad Batch has been an interesting show. It's showing a lot because the Clone Wars really was about the clones. And one thing that you get to see over the seasons is the clones go from being these clean slates to individual personalities. So you'll follow like the same group of clones from the first season, and you'll see them episode to episode, and you see how some of their friends die when they start to get their individuality, whether that's through how they mark their uniform or how they cut their hair.
I think that's cool how they
or
do
their
that.
nicknames. So the Bad Batch takes that to like, because most of those clones, they get that shit turned on
that
them.
actor can retire already. That man is getting paid so much to do all this shit.
All these voices and all these. Yeah. I mean, same with the, is it? I heard they were bringing back, I don't know if that's true. I won't say it. So,
all right. Up next, The Mandalorian season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know this is coming. Jon Favreau said he's finished the script, but it's not in production due to the writer and actor strike. So as of right now, that's not even moving. Like, it's only been written.
Yeah.
It's not in pre-production, nothing. So that's not coming out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even then, like, I'll finish Mandalorian season 3 and I'll watch 4, and especially if it's all leading to a movie, I'll catch up with everything and I'll get there. But as of right now, hype level
Low.
I am not excited at all.
Just give me some more Bo-Katan. I'll watch it all day.
Some more Bo-Katan. Just give her her own show.
That's all I'm saying. Just call it Bo-Katan.
The Book of Bo.
My excitement for Mandalorian was for the masses to learn what Mandalorians were.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, people didn't know.
I didn't even know. Again,
Yeah.
like, I'm a Star Wars fan.
And the Mandalorians go back far. Like, the first time I ever heard of Mandalorian was like the Old Republic. And it's like they were so badass. They fought wars against the Jedi and they stood their ground.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I would like to see it. Up next, now we're finally getting to the 3 movies, and I think this is going to usher in the new, or close a chapter on Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I think with these 3 movies, we're going to finish phase 1 of this Disney acquisition, and then we'll finally get into something else.
Mm-hmm.
So starting off, most importantly, I think, is the Untitled Rey movie. Now, again, none of these have titles, which goes to show they're far away. This is probably 2026 at the earliest. Directed by Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. I probably messed that name up, but she directed Miss Marvel. And it takes place 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker, which is significant. We're going to see like a 40-year-old Rey maybe.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this is Rey's trying to rebuild the Jedi Order again. It always fails. So what does any of this do for you? Because this is what you're saying. Like, this is what we've been talking about. Like Skywalker Saga.
This is their opportunity, because now that you put things in the context, you're right. Disney bought this. They go, we need to pump out a trilogy. And
I think they wanted their money back right away.
we need to pump out a trilogy. So without really having, like, they're like, we need to bring back the trilogy. The prerequisites are bring back old cast. And
what makes money? What makes money?
Exactly. So now if we're saying, all right, you know what, all the whole cast is dead, and now we are left with these movies we made, this is an opportunity for them to like establish something in the timeline in that direction. Right. You know what I mean? So
something else.
Yes, because at this point, because like even I've had ideas like in the Dave Filoni era, because we know by the new trilogy that Luke started a Jedi, temple, and Kylo Ren fucked it up. and I guess a lot of people probably wanted to see what that looked like. Like now people speculate, was Grogu a part of that temple?
Can we start my 20 minutes of just shitting on the Knights of Ren and the potential? The first teaser that we had, I was watching a football game. I forgot which one it was, but teaser for the new Star Wars movie for the first time since 2005. And we see the Knights of Ren, that one shot. We'll go to the movie in December. We get a nice little tease of them. And then nothing. Nothing. They don't do shit with them.
Hey, we get a hunky Ben Solo slicing them up.
It wasn't even earned.
That's the payout.
Get me mad. All right, but continue. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I'm just saying this is an opportunity to actually see them set something up going forward.
Exactly. Because this is their chance to do anything.
Yeah, and hopefully something that will actually build something, like something worth building something off of.
We don't need the galaxy to be fighting the other half of the galaxy.
We can have a peaceful era.
But not even peaceful. Like have some stakes. Like give me a character that I don't want to die, but are in these tough situations, right? Like we don't need the whole world to almost blow up every single movie.
A movie can be interesting about just building something. So if it's literally her putting it together, but if it's 15 years later, it makes it seem like maybe whatever she's got going on is established. But
I feel like this movie is going to be about teaching the audience, because we know this already, but still teaching everybody that, hey, this Jedi and Sith thing, both sides just don't work. And I'm putting an end to it. And it's failing because of these reasons. Like they can explain it however they want, but it's failing because of these reasons. And you know what? That just doesn't work.
It's just how many times are we going to tell the story about like the Jedi who turned bad? So you're right. And I think with all the history of Star Wars, and if you're like the character of Rey and you look back at that history and you go, my grandfather was one of the baddest Sith of all time. Yet, these Skywalkers were also like, my adopted parents or whatever, the way she sees it. My point is, you're someone like that. Even Yoda tells her, burn those books. Yeah. Obviously, we fucked up. Anakin came to me, a pretentious teen, told me his problems, and I told him, bottle it up.
Walk it off.
Walk it off. Keep it in your pants.
Be a man.
Yeah. So, I would imagine that would...
He went to Yoda for therapy. Yeah, the worst therapist. Stop bitching.
He's like, dude, they're just dreams.
He just said, don't do what you're thinking about doing. That's all he told them.
Yeah.
Piece of shit. I'm not ready to move on just yet. Because I think this movie is really important. So
I mean, when we say Rey movie, I assume that the original 3 will still be there, don't you think?
I don't think so.
No?
Because why not pitch it that way? Unless I think what's going to happen is they're going to make offers to them. And we'll see if they want to come back. But what are they going to do? What if they bring them back, then it's just episode 10.
That's true.
If you want to do this standalone thing, I mean, I don't know. I feel like either way, it's going to end up being episode 10. Because why would you just start and end with it? Like, if it was just a one-off, and they're trying to get new fans, whatever, why would you just start at this Rey thing and then end it? It's got to be episode 10.
Is it just going to be a one episode, or?
Yeah, it's just one.
Okay.
So far, that's what they've said.
Yeah.
And I do like Daisy Ridley as an actress, and then I do like Rey. I did like Rey as a character. I liked all those characters until they just didn't know what to do and just bullshit a story. But overall, I think this is their chance. Again, put a nice bow on it. Don't focus so much on what you did wrong on 8 and 9, or I don't even know which one you should have went with anymore. But just who cares? Tell a nice little story, 2 hours, get in, get out. Have it be good. Have her fight one threat that's not a universe-threatening threat.
Yeah.
Just have her have a conflict. Let's get out of there. And let's set up something new.
What's your favorite Star Wars fight scene?
Ever?
Yes, because I know mine.
I mean, man. So I'm going to give you a final answer, but let me just tell you, it's between two. It's between the over-the-topness of episode 3, Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then it's between that and then Force Awakens, Kylo versus Rey, because choreography in there is good, and I love the story they're telling there. Because I'm a wrestling fan, so I like me a good story with choreography, and I like that the story is Kylo is so cocky and confident, but he's injured because Chewbacca shot him because he killed his dad. Listen to that sentence. That's freaking cool. And then he's chasing down Rey because it's his order. He has to go get her and bring her back. He's not trying to kill her, but he's hurt. So he goes there and like he fights Finn, and Finn tries to hold up, and then Kylo's just playing with him. He's teasing him. You know, this is my favorite fight.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like teasing him, whatever. He's like burning his shoulder and everything. Then finally, when he's done with him, he cuts him down. And then just the buildup of her having the Force, getting her lightsaber. They have a fight. But again, the story that's being told, it's not Kylo Ren losing to Rey. Kylo's trying to capture Rey. Rey is doing her best to just stay alive. And she's running away the whole time. And then once Kylo has her cornered, again, he's trapping her, and he's just like, hey, like you're untrained, but like you're stronger than you know. Like his last attempt, like he's not gonna kill her. He's just like, hey, like come with me. And then she does the bullshit, like, oh, believe in the Force. But that's what Star Wars is bullshit.
The Force is bullshit.
Yeah, so she beats him. But again, if I'm like a wrestling booker, I'm just like, okay, how do we make Kylo look strong coming out of this? He was hurt the whole time. Yeah. So I love the booking, the choreography, the story that's being told. I just do love the nostalgia, the over the topness. That's not a word, but sure. And then just the epic score behind Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. So they're neck and neck. If you would have asked me,
That wasn't bad.
That's the thing. If you take away the song, it's just a lot of cool fighting that goes too long.
Some flips.
A lot of flips. But it is really cool. I love how fast paced it is. So they're neck and neck. But if you're twisting my arm, which you are, I'm picking that one. I really love The Force Awakens, by the way.
Yeah.
That is my favorite Star Wars movie. I think just because it is like I didn't have the nostalgia for the original trilogy. Like, I watched them after the prequels. Prequels, I started not appreciating them as I got older. And then Force Awakens was just like, okay, we're back. Like, it's Star Wars. It's Christmas. Like, it's coming out. We're finally here. Nostalgia. Now I have a nostalgia for the older movies. And just like the payoff and how good that story was, it was a little rehash of New Hope. But that's my favorite Star Wars movie. Since you're asking questions, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Movie? Whoa, I'm talking about fight scenes.
No. Well, you asked fight scene. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't answer, huh?
Yeah.
My bad. I thought you were alluding to Obi-Wan and Anakin. But fine, what's your favorite Star Wars fight scene? And then follow it up with your favorite Star Wars movie.
Okay. Kylo Ren and Rey in the throne room.
Oh.
Dude, I love that.
You like when those guards are just standing there waiting to get hit?
Dude, it is so awesome.
It is cool.
I love that fight because, like you said, the kind of build up to it. Because in that moment, the first time we're watching it, will he, won't he? And then when you does, but then he's like, well, I'm not with you. I was trying to convince you to be with me. And she's like, well, no. But regardless of that whole that fight,
it starts off with him killing the main bad guy, who you thought was going to be the Sidious of the franchise.
Which I guess that is disappointing. But the fight itself,
that's another topic.
The fight itself, I loved because of the brutality of it. Like the getting burned, the freaking red pieces just chopping off. Let me throw the saber.
Dude, they grinded. They like one of them got grinded like in Gang Beast when you throw him in the grinder.
Dude, but that fight to me was awesome because first I love seeing them fight together, but also the way that they fought. That's what I got to say about that trilogy of movies. I feel like the lightsaber fights there feel like they carry more weight.
I was about to say they sound heavy.
They carry more weight. The way Kylo, like you said in that fight, I like how he fights so like throws himself around.
Yeah, like he knows he's the shit.
Yeah, and he's just like, I like that. And compared to
so much potential, man.
Yeah.
Adam Driver is the best part of that trilogy. Kylo Ren is the best part, but man, We can have a whole topic about the disappointment of that trilogy, but go ahead.
But yeah, that to me always stands out to me, especially when I see those cuts where it's like, I need a hero.
Yeah.
They're just playing that song and it's like the fight scenes happening. I'm like, dude, hell yeah, they should have played this.
And yes, shout out to Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon too. That's really good. It suffers from the same thing as Anakin and Obi-Wan, where it's just like it's
a lot of dancing.
It's too long.
Yeah.
Like cut it back just a little bit. It's still really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not gonna like rate these fight scenes, but if we did,
Yeah.
they'd all be up there. But if you're asking me what my favorite right now, like, that's my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
I love that scene, and that's your go-to. So, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Sheesh. Clone Wars season 6.
Is that a movie? Is that what a movie is?
Just the whole season.
Is that your favorite?
Man.
Is that your favorite animated season?
Probably. There's so much going on because that is the animated episode 3.
It almost didn't happen too.
That's so sad. I'm glad that it did. But with that said, it probably is episode 3. It's just the lead up, the build up, the everything there, even the political shit. Even though I don't think after you watch 6 seasons of animated that Anakin as a character would just make that decision like that.
It feels like the one thing Lucas wanted to do was
That movie.
what? Not even that. The last third.
Yeah.
Like he was like that's the only thing where he was like passionate. Was just like I'm gonna nail this.
Yes.
How Anakin turns to Vader. And I feel like if he didn't nail that, the whole prequel trilogy, there would have been nothing. There wouldn't have been a Clone Wars because there would have been nothing to redeem. Where at least like they had that. We're just like, hey, we nailed the fight, we nailed the transformation, we nailed like the bridging them together.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's just expand and make the first 2 better. Okay. Last 2 movies, and we'll get out of here. So we talked about the Rey movie. Next up is, we've mentioned this a couple times, the untitled Dave Filoni movie. And I hope this one, out of all these, doesn't get canceled. Because again, give this guy his flowers. Give him his opportunity to show what he can do with a big budget. Because he's been carrying this goddamn franchise on his back for more than a decade.
It feels like a layup. I don't see why they would cancel something like that.
I don't think they're going to cancel. I think this is official.
Yeah.
Because they've announced the slate like twice. I think now they're just like, okay, 3 movies. We're going to do what we always do. 3 movies we're going to commit to, and then we'll go from there. But these are 3 different eras. So anyway, this he has described as the culmination of his Disney Plus shows. Like even his animated shows. Like, well, I think it's more specifically his Disney Plus shows that he's been working on.
Yeah.
And he said that this will close out most of the Disney Plus shows. So maybe Mando will continue. You know how it is. Like, they didn't say it. Like I mentioned to you with like 2 of those shows, Andor and Bad Batch. Those are the final seasons. This next Mandalorian season, they didn't say it's the final. So I think they're going to keep milking that until they can. But anyway, this is going to be the culmination of Dave Filoni's work. And I think if he nails this, maybe he'll get a spearhead the next trilogy.
That'd be
How
awesome.
cool would that be? Where it's like, hey, you're a fan, you know all the lore, you've been creative, you've carried us on your back. How about you spearhead it? Like, not even direct. Maybe if he wants to, but maybe you spearhead. You're our Kevin Feige now.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me wishful thinking. But what do you think about that?
I want him to be the Kevin Feige of Star Wars.
Everybody does, and he kind of is for the shows already. So
might as well give him the movies. I mean, the MCU captures that magic of like, here's this, boom, big one. So if they can do that with Star Wars, with shows, I would love that. I think that would be awesome. I want to know what this movie would, because it's going to be awesome to see if we get Mando, Grogu, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, and now the Rebel cast. Like if this results that they find Ezra and if Thrawn's like some kind of a big threat, which I think he is. That's what I'm saying. Them alluding to this whole section of space that doesn't exist. And that's the thing too. Like, how did the First Order, like they're like hiding, right? So I don't know how much of these pieces are going to come together, but even just seeing his cast of characters on the screen is going to be really, really cool.
Well, I think this, now that we're finally here, because we keep talking about, well, you're saying, why did they make those? And we're talking about how is Filoni going to fix this, whatever.
They should kill Mando in the movie.
They probably will.
I want some stakes. I want some deaths.
I got 2 things for you. 2 things. But first, I think this is going to tie into Snoke. General Snoke and like how and Sidious and like how like he came back.
Yeah.
Because like they've mentioned like stuff like about like cloning again, like with the scientist character in season 1. Like it seems like Mandalorian was always teasing, oh, this is how we're gonna explain Sidious.
They keep trying to get that Grogu blood, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like they're trying to do something with Snoke and Sidious, and they're going to try to explain more to justify that. It's the prequels all over again. They're trying to justify why these movies are important and why you should watch them.
You're telling me they didn't just take liters of Anakin's blood? You know how he had that Darth Vader like...
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
that would be a better explanation, right?
He's the most force-sensitive person ever, right? If you want some strong-ass...
The highest midichlorian.
Yeah, the highest midichlorians. If you want some...
That's the one thing I'm glad it went away. Why do we need a measurement? They're just trying to be Dragon Ball so bad. His midichlorians
are off the roof.
They're over 9,000. Second thing, 2 words. Cal Kestis. If you're going to bring him for anything, bring him in this weird Avengers style, like Dave Filoni universe. Now, how old is he in the games?
I'm not sure.
Let's just guess.
I'll say 26.
I'll then say 25. So we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
20. Let's just go with yours. 26.
Yeah.
And then
that'd be so awesome if they tied him in.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have the actor that looks like him.
That's true.
Like he legit is that character. So how many years is it, if you know? You're about to get your badge taken away or you're going to get it put back on. How many years is it from like the beginning, like the original trilogy? How long does it take? It can't.
From start to finish?
From episode 4 to episode 6.
I have no idea.
But if you had to guess, like, because Luke, we see him, what, like 3 years maybe? 4? Less? Because it happens quick.
Well, you're saying between 4 and 6?
4 and 6. The original trilogy, start to end.
Damn. I honestly have no idea. I mean, if I were to guess...
If you were to guess, yeah.
3 to 5 years.
Let's just say 5.
Yeah.
So if he's 25, add 5 years, 30. Well, he could play a third. Or I think Mando takes place 5 years after the events of episode 6, the second Death Star. So let's give another 5, 35. Put some makeup on this guy. You can make him 35, or I don't know when I think Mando takes place 5. Whatever. Point is, we have the actor.
Yeah.
He needs to pop up in live action eventually. Put him in Dave Filoni's Avengers team for whatever this threat is with Mando, Grogu, Ahsoka. This, what's the team's name? Phoenix or something?
Yeah, Phoenix Squad.
Phoenix Team Squad.
Phoenix something.
And let's go. Do you have any hopes for what this movie would be, or?
I think it's good to just not have expectations.
That's where you're at with Star Wars.
Well, it's just that I think we're gonna learn a lot after Ahsoka, because I want to find out, like, are we gonna get Ezra back? What does that mean? Or, you know, what do all these things mean? My assumption is that they are gonna get him back, but who knows what his live action version is going to be like?
Yeah.
He's going to be talking to space whales.
What if he's a bad guy now?
Dude, that would be a badass twist. I mean, you're stuck with Thrawn in some random fucking place. I don't even know if, like...
What if they're lovers?
Let's go.
That's a
twist. You're like, you want something you've never heard?
You want originality?
Yeah, well, who knows what? That would be interesting. I don't think he could be bad, though. But
I just think that would be interesting, but
maybe he's just dead.
Damn.
Thrawn just killed him. He said, fuck this.
They killed each other. Okay. Last project. The untitled James Mangold movie. Now, James Mangold directed Logan.
Okay.
I forgot what other movie he directed, but most recently he directed Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. So he's already in the Disney family. As a matter of fact, Indiana Jones is a Lucas property.
I was going to say that.
There you go. And he's described, now this sounds like the most like strange.
The First Jedi.
Yeah, it is about the First Jedi, but he's described it as a biblical epic showing the origin of the Force. Now that sounds really interesting. I don't know if he's overselling it. That's my worry, is like a biblical epic. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
That sounds prestige. I don't know if they're going to follow through with this. I believe it's going to be made, but what are your thoughts? First thoughts.
I'm trying to scrape my knowledge of what I know about the first Jedi anything.
Has that even been told? Like, I'm sure maybe in the old canon.
I feel like in Knights of the Old Republic, the irony is you learn more about the Sith than you do the Jedi, because you go to this planet where it's all the original Sith and you kind of learn about why they're prominent. But there's like no real knowledge as to like the first one to create the Jedi Order or why, or like the origins of the Force that I can think of.
Let me ask you a better question. Do you think this needs to be told about the origin of the Force? Or do you think that explains too much and they're over-explaining the lore?
It's hard to say
without seeing it, huh?
Because there's a couple of things in Star Wars. Like if we go back to the first movie ever made, again, they didn't know what they were doing. Like they're like
we literally jump in the middle of a battle.
And they're also like, yeah, telekinesis, we call it the Force, and it's mystical and magical. And then some of the new stuff kind of backs on that, because it's like the Jedi got wiped out, and it's like the idea of Jedi is like they're like a myth. Like by the time it's Rey, right?
That's bullshit, by the way. How did everybody forget?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, but whatever. The point, I guess, there's a lot of things they haven't fully explained, but they try. Like they do the whole midichlorian thing, and it's like, do we want to know? I guess me as a Star Wars fan, it would be nice to be like, okay, if in concrete, this is what we're saying the rules are. This is the framework about what it is, where it comes from. Because we keep getting it's everywhere and it ties all life together. And it's like, okay, tell me more.
Binds us.
I'm like, so why can you push things and I can't? So I guess if it tells something like that,
I have more midichlorians. That's why.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Can I get like? Is there a supplement? how do I increase my midichlorian count?
That's a cool. There's an idea.
But it kind of goes back to like, we like part of me was when we're exploring Grogu, we don't know George Lucas never wanted anyone to really uncover what the origin of Yoda's race even is. And so I
shouldn't have sold it then.
Yeah. And I was like, are they alluding to trying to tell like what Yoda's people are or what? But I guess even that doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say, that's one of those mysteries where it's like, do we really need an answer? And same with the Force. I guess if you're going to give us a concrete, like,
this is what it is.
Yes. And this is how it ties into everything. But I think you can tell an interesting story while even still being vague. Because in a way, like Star Wars has always been like biblical. Like Anakin is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, his mom's a Virgin Mary. That's what I was gonna say. Is like even us as a human race, like we don't even know our origins. And then I was about to say the only things that we do know is like religion. So for him to explain this as a biblical epic is kind of cool when you think about it that way.
We're gonna have a lot more people claiming that they're a Jedi for the religion. It's like it's just Hinduism or something. It's Buddhism.
With laser swords. So
sign me up.
We're coming to a close here. We're about to head out, but just last thoughts on this. I'll give mine first. Is I think that these three movies are very important, and they announced them back in March, April, May, somewhere around there. I don't know when Star Wars Day is, or even if it was Star Wars Day. I'm assuming it was. But it seems like these three movies are their reset. Because if they come out in the order that they announced them here, I don't know which order they're going to come out in, but Rey's movie, tie up Skywalker saga. Filoni's movie, let's tie up Filoni's saga. And then Origin, this is what the Force is. Now let's start anew.
Yeah.
So it does seem like, okay, let's go into a new era. I'm excited for it. I hope they nail it. I hope they're original, they're creative, and I hope they have a direction. That's all I got to say.
I mean, I agree with that. I feel like I personally in this current era, like again, a character like Ahsoka, I love that character, and I'm really happy with what we're getting now. So I think of the movies you listed, the one I'd probably be the most excited for is the Dave Filoni one, because I would love to see how all of his projects tie together. Because he really like fought in the trenches for that. Because the animated series ties in so much to the live action series that he's worked on.
It just seems like the natural growth.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
So we'll see. I guess it is smart on their end to just. These are not just building blocks. They're also like a test to see what people are interested in. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see what's in store in a galaxy far, far away.
And overall, it's nice being a Star Wars fan, isn't it?
Yeah. Give me some more games. I'm so happy to let go of that EA Iron Fist.
I mean, the EA games are the ones that I like. Those Jedi ones, the Jedi Fallen Order.
Those are good. I'm just saying that, like, let other studios play the IP.
Yep.
So.
Okay. It's good being a Star Wars fan.
Yep.
If you guys are also Star Wars fans and you stuck around this long, once more, like, subscribe, share. What are you going to say?
Go to Disneyland. Go to the cantina. No, listen to me.
I'll try to promote my stuff. You're promoting Disneyland.
Go to Disneyland. There's a sponsor.
No, they are not sponsored. I would love for them to be sponsoring this.
They get one free clout from me. Jedi Mind Trick, baby. You need to have that drink there. It's so good.
It's a drink. I was like, what are you talking about?
Cocktails.
It's a cocktail called Jedi Mind Trick.
And it's so good.
Learn it, make it for me. And then we'll just...
I've tried. There's this guy. It's a whole nother story. But
see, now you're promoting this other guy.
Link in the description.
No. Like, subscribe if you want more content from us. Saul's going to pop on like once a month. We see him quite often here.
Yes, sir.
If you like video games, movie, TV, all this stuff, all nerdy stuff, stay here. Like, subscribe, share, and until next time, peace out.
Peace.
Wom. Wom.
Killed me.